Quorum. So we could call to order our June 24th Board of Directors meeting. So we could now, if you could, we all join together for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mr. Chair, would you like to lead us?
Probably goes better if everybody unmutes himself.
Well, what we like to do is everybody mute except for the one person. So I'll go ahead and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair, would you like a roll call?
Yeah, I thought you had announced that we had a quorum, so I didn't go with that.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Here.
District 2, Supervisor Phillips.
Here.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Here.
District 4, Supervisor Parker.
We would ask you for, oh, we got Jane too. Okay, perfect.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Here.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Here.
City of Delray Oaks.
Present.
City of Gonzales. City of Greenfield. Here. City of King City.
Here.
City of Marina. City of Monterey.
Here.
City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Salinas.
Here.
City of Sand City. City of Seaside.
Here.
City of Soledad.
Here.
Ambag. Ambag.
Here.
Caltrans District 5.
Here.
Monterey Bay Air Resources District.
Here.
Monterey Regional Airport District.
Here.
Monterey Salinas Transit.
It's Lisa Reinheimer. I'm here.
City of Watsonville. CSUMB. Chair, we do have a quorum. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now going back to, let me try public comments again for anything on out of today's agenda. Okay, going to consent calendar, consent agenda. Item number 3, does anybody want to pull an item?
This is Mike LeBar, motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Mayor LeBar. Is there a second?
I second. This is Allison Kerr. I second.
Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that help. Okay, we have a motion and second on consent calendar. All those in favor, we'll call the roll, do the roll call again.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Aye.
District 2, Supervisor Phillips.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Parker.
This is Wendy Askew for Supervisor Parker. Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Delray Oaks.
Aye.
City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of Greenfield.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina. City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove,
Aye.
City of Salinas,
Yes.
City of Sand City, City of Seaside,
Aye.
City of Soledad,
Aye.
Chair, motion passes 15-0.
Thank you very much, Eloise. Next, we're going to item number 4, and this is to present a certificate of appreciation to Aileen Loe, Caltrans District 5 Deputy Director for Planning and Local Assistance. Is she on the call with us this morning? Okay, I see Mary Adams is saying yes. Oh, yeah, there she is. All right. Ms. Lowe has served as an ex officio member of the Transportation Agency for over 14 years. She manages the Division of Transportation, Planning, and Local Assistance for the State Department of Transportation and Caltrans District 5. She's also responsible for the district's sustainability efforts and is an avid bicyclist. And she will be retiring from Caltrans as of June 30th, 2020, which is just in a few days. And I know she has a long career in Caltrans, but on behalf of TAMC and all our board, Aileen, we just wanted to congratulate you and thank you for a lifetime of service to Monterey County and to all the area you covered under Caltrans. And I think we're just proud of your accomplishments. And so if I was here, I'd love to hand you a nice resolution or certificate, but we're doing it virtually here today. So on behalf of all of us, really want to commend you for your public service to the people of California. So we'd love to hear some words from you as well. Congratulations. Let's give a round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you.
if I might,
Yes.
this is Dave Potter.
Yes, Mr. Potter.
Eileen, I just want to tell you, I can't believe you're leaving us. I mean, after all these years, you and I go back a long, long time. Coast Highway Management Plan, a lot of heavy work. I'm shocked you're actually retiring. I never thought that this would happen. So good luck to you, but Eileen, I will seriously miss you. You've been great company and a real professional and really helped with the relationships between Caltrans and Transportation Agency of Monterey County. Thanks a lot. You deserve a good retirement.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Supervisor Potter. I can sincerely say I've enjoyed my whole career here at Caltrans. It's been very rewarding from the beginning, and it just has evolved and become more exciting and more fulfilling as time has gone on. And I really am proud of the work that I've done in Monterey County and the Big Sur Coast. What we did over there was that's a highlight for me, and the leadership that you provide and former Congressman Farr too was really remarkable, and it really gave me a sense of how much communities influence their government and how much we serve the people best when people are involved in the work. So it's been a great career. I'm not leaving. I'm gonna still be here on the Central Coast. I'm just gonna I'm gonna divide up my time differently so I can ride my bike more and
You're not gonna bike off into the sunset, eh?
Well, I was going to, but those plans to literally bike off into the sunset got foiled, along with a lot of other things this spring and summer. So I will actually be, which has changed my departure date. I will actually be around through July, on and off, but my retirement date is the 31st of July after my birthday. I needed that birthday in there. So, but I just thank you so much for being supportive of Caltrans, for being a great partner to Caltrans. We've done a lot together over the years and the generations, and I know that those traditions and that sense of partnership is solid, and it doesn't depend on a single individual. That's the other, I think, strength of the relationship between Caltrans and TAMC is that our bonds run deep, and we have good people. In all of our agencies, we have really, really good people, and I know that the work will continue. And so I just feel privileged and honored to have been part of it. I've learned a lot. So personally, I've grown, and there's more to come, I'm sure. And I hope I see you around somewhere.
Enjoy it.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe. Is there any other board members who'd like to make any last comments here?
Chair, Debbie has her hand raised.
Yes, Debbie, please join us.
Well, I would just like to say a thank you to Aileen as well. You know, she and I have followed each other in our careers and have worked together for many years. And I really appreciate the work that she's done in helping us to get so many different corridor studies done. She's not only been personally involved, but she's brought in a great staff to assist us. And I think that one of the great marks of someone is when they can leave their department and everything is running super smoothly because they've brought in wonderful people. And we're just so pleased with the relationship that we've had with you, Aileen. And, you know, I'm envious of you, but I'm glad to know you're not biking off into the sunset. And, you know, I just appreciate your communications, your involvement with the board so often, and your great partnership with TAMC. So thank you very much for all your collaboration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, Aileen, thank you very much. And I just wanted to say, we really appreciate, because you did accomplish a lot over your career here on all these amazing projects that really improved the lives and saved lives in many ways also. So with folks like you, can't ask any more, but we hope that you do enjoy your retirement and also knowing that you're going to be around and still do other amazing things in your capacity. So we commend you. So congratulations on your retirement, and enjoy.
Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you. All right, let's go to item number 5. This is our State Route Highway 156 multimodal corridor plan. And who's presenting on this?
This is me, Madeline Jacobson.
Yes, Madeline, thank you.
Yes. Okay, can you see the screen okay there?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Madeline Jacobson, and I've been a transportation planner with TAMC now for just under a year. I have a special opportunity this morning to present to you on the State Route 156 multimodal corridor plan, which takes all of the documents related to 156 and brings them into one comprehensive planning document. Give me 1 second. So this morning, I'll briefly review with you the various sections of the plan, including a brief history of the corridor, the resources used to develop this document, defined corridor goals, public outreach, the corridor strategy, and recommended actions for today. So for a brief historical review, Route 156 was initially constructed in 1941, and the interchange with the US 101 was built in 1970. It was in 1997 that need for 156 improvements were identified, and Mr. Rich Steele informed me that it was 1998 that the traffic signal was installed at Castroville Boulevard. In 2003, Caltrans began preparing the environmental document for the corridor, and in 2013, the environmental document was certified. In 2016, Monterey County voters approved Measure X, confirming the need for corridor improvements, identifying the $30 million for the Castroville Boulevard interchange. And in 2020, I bring to you this multimodal corridor plan. So this planning document was developed with the specific intent to document the 156 corridor's eligibility for Cycle 2 of the Solutions for Congested Corridors program. There's a significant chapter in the plan that reviews the relationship between various planning documents and the corridor, which ranges from corridor-specific documents to regional planning documents and statewide plans. So these are the first 2 key documents used to develop this hybrid corridor plan. The State Route 156 West Corridor Project Level 2 Traffic and Revenue Study, which was adopted in 2017, and the full corridor's environmental impact report, which was certified in January 2013. Regional plans included in the development of this hybrid corridor plan consist of the Monterey County Regional Transportation Plan, the Transportation Safety and Investment Plan, which is better known as Measure X, the US 101 Central Coast Freight Strategy Report, the 2010 Monterey County General Plan, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Sustainable Communities Strategy that's prepared by AMBAG, and the Active Transportation Plan for Monterey County. So documents such as the 101 Central Coast California Freight Strategy Report identify Route 156 as a trucking route with one of the highest truck volumes in the Central Coast and discuss the need for improvements. Other documents like the Regional Transportation Plan position the corridor's significance for Monterey County. Statewide planning documents integrated into this hybrid multimodal corridor plan include the California Transportation Plan, the Climate Change Scoping Plan, the Caltrans Smart Mobility Framework, freight planning documents, the Interregional Transportation Strategic Plan, and the State Rail Plan. So these documents help further highlight Route 156 corridor's statewide significance. So Route 156 is a regionally significant corridor that holds importance for the state, the nation, and even internationally. As some of you may know, but over 78% of the international share of artichokes originates there in Castroville alone. So, serving as the primary access route from the Monterey Peninsula to California's Central Valley and the San Francisco Bay Area, Route 156 is a key corridor for tourism, for jobs, and for Monterey region's significant agricultural economy. So through the corridor planning process, 5 significant goals were defined for the Route 156 West corridor. These include improving safety, supporting active transportation, fostering access to low-income housing in nearby communities, supporting freight travel, and relieving congestion. And these corridor goals are built from the purpose and need that were defined in the 156 West Corridor's environmental document. So it's very important in this hybrid plan document to discuss the stakeholder and community outreach conducted for each of the major planning documents that informed this hybrid multimodal corridor plan. So there are 3 major categories of outreach that were reviewed, one being the project's environmental process, stakeholder groups, and TAMC-related public outreach. This will take you back in time to 2006 in the picture. So the Environmental Impact Report public engagement included a large range of open houses and the establishment of a community advisory group. The community advisory group was established in 2007 to provide input on the environmental review process. A summary of themes that arose from the advisory group discussions are portrayed here in this graphic, grounded in the themes of circulation and traffic, growth, safety, and sustainability. TAMC led outreach efforts on the Traffic and Revenue Study, the Monterey County Active Transportation Plan, the Transportation Safety and Investment Plan, and the Monterey County Regional Transportation Plan are what I'll talk about just next. So, outreach conducted for the Level 2 Traffic and Revenue Study included a series of outreach meetings regarding the study, and it received a great deal of public comment. So if you remember correctly, North County residents expressed concern that they would have to pay the toll every day. However, there was generally support for tolling visitors from outside the region, including from the hospitality industry, which believed they could bundle toll cards with the sale of hotels or rental cars. Outreach conducted for the Active Transportation Plan included stakeholder engagement with bodies such as TAMC's Bicycle and Pedestrian Facilities Advisory Committee to provide input on the plan. In addition, staff developed a webpage dedicated to the planning project, which included the use of a wiki mapping tool where members of the public submitted direct place-based feedback on active transportation needs, and over 400 comments were received through that platform. So this graphic may look familiar to you as it was developed by you during an outreach activity on the upcoming 2022 Regional Transportation Plan. So public outreach conducted in the format of a public survey to inform the development of the 2022 Regional Transportation Plan continues to highlight the importance of the State Route 156 corridor for the Monterey County region and even beyond. In defining transportation priorities for inclusion in the Transportation Safety and Investment Plan, which became Measure X, TAMC organized a 40-member Keep Monterey County Moving Committee. Outreach conducted for Measure X took place over nearly 2 years and included between 80 and 100 presentations to various community groups, various interviews, public input received via surveys and focus groups. One of the projects that was deemed essential through all of the Measure X outreach was the Route 156 Castroville Boulevard Interchange project. So a suite of corridor improvements are identified in this multimodal corridor plan, ranging from bicycle and pedestrian improvements to the Route 156 West Corridor project. Bicycle and pedestrian connections identified in the corridor plan integrate improvements presented in the Active Transportation Plan all the way through those in the State Highway Operations and Protection Program, or SHOP, which has an upcoming project on State Route 183 or Merritt Street. Monterey County is leading the Blackie Road Extension project, which will build off of Route 156 Castroville Boulevard interchange and significantly help remove freight vehicles from the community of Castroville. The Castroville Station, or Rail to Salinas project, is phase 3 of the Monterey County Rail Extension project, and this project will provide connections for future passenger rail services. The first phase of the SURF project is proposed as a bus-only corridor along the Monterey Branch Line right-of-way from Marina through Sand City and Seaside, but future extension of the SURF busway envisions a connection north to the Castroville Station. The Route 156 West Corridor project was defined in the corridor's environmental planning document as the preferred alternative. The full corridor project includes Segment 1, which is the Castroville Boulevard interchange seen in green, Segment 2, which is the Route 156 4-lane expansion and conversion of the existing route into a frontage road, seen in yellow, and the Segment 3 is the US 101 Route 156 interchange, which is seen here in blue, which is Segment 3. So the Castroville Boulevard interchange is the segment of the Route 156 corridor project that TAMC and Caltrans are actively pursuing funding for. This segment of the corridor project includes the removal of one signalized intersection on the highway, and construction of a new bridge, which will eliminate crossing points, as well as roundabouts as the ramp intersections. Including roundabouts as the design is a traffic safety and cost effectiveness measure because it will allow for smooth traffic flow on the 2-lane structure, reducing construction and long-term maintenance cost compared to a 4-lane structure. The project also adds sidewalk and a shared use path, which is seen here in yellow, that will complete a gap in the active transportation network to connect the community of Castroville to North Monterey County High School. This new path will be located along Castroville Boulevard and will link to the existing bicycle and pedestrian bridge over the railroad. The path will not only encourage more walking and biking to school, but it will also create a safer crossing over Castroville Boulevard, and that reduce the chance of collisions. So as a reminder, the plan I'm presenting to you was prepared to demonstrate the corridor's qualifications for the Solutions for Congested Corridors grant program in order to help fill the gap in our funding need for the interchange project. In addition to Solutions for Congested Corridor funds, TAMC is pursuing local partnership program grant funds, and Caltrans and TAMC are co-sponsoring grant applications to the Trade Corridor Enhancement Program and the federal Better Utilizing Investment to Leverage Development, or better known as the BUILD grant program. So collectively, the suite of corridor improvements will help meet the congestion relief, access, and multimodal goals discussed throughout the 156 multimodal corridor plan. As far as next steps for Route 156, After adoption of this planning document, staff will be preparing the grant application for the Solutions for Congested Corridor program, which is due in mid-July. Once the gap in funding is fulfilled, the target timeline has construction scheduled to begin in October 2022 and be completed in July 2024. So the recommended actions I have before you today include receive a presentation on the State Route 156 Multimodal Corridor Plan and determine that approval of the State Route 156 Multimodal Corridor Plan is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to the California Resources Code Section 21102 and CEQA Guidelines Section 15262, and approve the State Route 156 Multimodal Corridor Plan. At this point, I'll open it up to any questions.
Okay, any questions from board members? Want to start with Supervisor Phillips on?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You know, this is a big thing, and I appreciate your presentation. Very, very historical and very accurate. But this is a big project for us in North County. But it's not just a big project for North County. It especially impacts the peninsula, and it's been delayed well too long. I mean, 156 is exactly the way it was back in 1965 when I was here in the Army, and we used to drive through Marina before we had the highway and everything else. But 156, everything's been changed except that 5 miles we have through 156, even though we've had tremendous amount of growth there. And after we got, you know, the Prunedale bypass done with San Miguel, San Juan Grade Road, at the Red Barn, Sala Road. We still have to, I know Supervisor Lopez was working on Spence Road that we have to do, but clearly this is the most critical project that we have and need in North County. The important part of it is this is a piece we can pick off. We tried to look at, and we've studied for how long to see if a toll road was really feasible and could be supported. And that proved not to be feasible. And it was Lou Calcagno that suggested, especially when we're looking about Measure X, as we pick off a piece of it that we can get accomplished. And that's what the Castroville interchange is the first piece of it. It's the most inexpensive piece of it, but it's a very critical piece of it, especially if eventually we're carried over to Blackie Road. So I'm excited about this project, and I appreciate all the support that TAMC has for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Phillips. Next, I got Mayor Labar, and then Robert Hewitt, and then Mary Adams.
Thank you, Chair. Just one clarification. So approving this plan, was there a component for tolling?
No.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't catch all of that. I think a good project, and again, echoing what Supervisor Phillips just mentioned, finding a way to get things moving and get actual improvements into our areas, just a great thing. So thank you, staff, for what you've done on this, and the community that stepped up in a lot of these community meetings. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Robert Hewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would like to also thank Madeline for a very good presentation, pulling together all of the history of this project. And I'd also like to emphasize how important these improvements are to those of us on the Monterey Peninsula. Residents, all of our businesses, and both from the standpoint of safety and convenient access. So I really do appreciate the way so many people have come together on moving this difficult project forward, and it's huge. It'll take a long time, but I also echo the comments that were made before about taking on the bites that we may be able to handle and then move on from there. So let's go and hope we can get this done within the next few years, at least the first few stages. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Next, we have Mary Adams.
Thank you, Chair. Melon, thank you for the great presentation. It was really thorough, very easy to understand. So thank you for that. Not unlike Bob Hewitt and Supervisor Phillips, I share the thought that this is an important plan for Castroville, but it's really important to the entire county because there's nothing worse than coming back, as I would be coming back into Monterey after a weekend away perhaps, and seeing all of the cars lined up trying to get through Marina, through Castroville, through 156 to 101. And I know that it came up that people really remembered how hard it is to get to Monterey. And that has a lot of negative pushback when it comes to booking, bigger kinds of meetings here, that people just say, yeah, we love Monterey, but it's so hard to get to, and even worse to get out. So maybe we just want to keep them all here. I'm not sure. But I think in addition to the visitor side of it, we all know that visitors bring in the transportation occupancy tax, which allows for us to provide services and programs to all of the residents of the county. So I'm just delighted that we're going to continue to move forward with this. I think it's going to be wonderful. I must admit that I have a bit of concern in my heart for what it's going to be like during the construction. Too bad it didn't happen. We couldn't do it at this time when people were staying home, but we're going to want to do everything we can to ensure people can get in and out easily during that time. And my expectation is that you're going to be able to come up with a marvelous plan to just bypass it so that we don't have the headache that construction can do on a highway where it's only one option. So, but again, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here and working with it as we move forward. Thanks, Nat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Next, I got Scott Davis.
Thank you, Supervisor Alejo. I concur with Supervisor Phillips and Adams and the council member and the mayor before. Extremely important project. After spending 17 years working for the county as a deputy and noticing not only the increase in traffic and on certain weekends, especially when we have events on the peninsula, and usually around time when people get off work, that highway is so impacted and so delayed that it actually does delay response of emergency personnel to cities like Castroville and around the Prunedale area, and sometimes even towards South County if for some reason we're up in Prunedale and have to go down to Chular. So I think it's imperative that we look and do what we can to get this moving forward. It's been a long time coming, and it's something that's desperately needed, and it doesn't just impact North County, but like Supervisor Adams and Phillips said, it impacts the entire county all the way to South County, as well as the peninsula. So thank you for this report. Awesome. I love the history. And I love hearing about 1965 from Supervisor Phillips. I wasn't around, but I love that history and how things.
He likes us old guys around, huh? So.
Yeah, you know what? You quote unquote old guys is what gives us some perspective sometimes. So I appreciate that. But it's a long time coming, so I'm happy to support it. And whatever we need to do to get this moving forward quickly, we've just been sitting on it way too long. So thank you.
We call that institutional memory.
Yeah.
Let's next go to Ed Smith and then Debbie Hale.
Yes, like others, I just wanted to offer an opinion and just briefly say thank you for all those folks who live on that side of the north side of Castroville Boulevard, and we have heard them through the years, and we understand their dilemma trying to get out on 156, and also sympathize with the peninsula folks that are trying to navigate through. This is a step one, and hope to long range relief for that entire corridor to get to the 101. But I also want to highlight that the reasons that we fight so hard for things like Measure X and SB funds are so that we can bring some conclusion to the projects that we dream. So thank you very much for those that voted and helped and supported. So I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this could not be done without the residents that really get behind and help support this and identify the urgency and also the relief for the lack of safety in that area. So hopefully this project will bring a long ways to bridge that gap and make it a safer area. So kudos to those that have endured for many years.
Thank you, council member. Let's go to Debbie.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize the fact that we've had a very strong partnership with Caltrans on this project. They are the ones who are designing it, and we're providing some design assistance with the roundabouts, but it's on their highway, and they have a new project manager for the project, Mike Loe, who is sitting in on our call. And I just want to let you know that it's good news, because what has happened is that the former project manager, David Silverberger, who has been TAMC's project manager at Caltrans, was just promoted to the chief for project management in District 5. And so we'll have a chance to learn a little more about his new role in August. But I'm very pleased to know that Mr. Loe is going to be helping out and handling the Caltrans side of the team. And really the partnership between Caltrans and TAMC is a critical part of the success of this project. I'll just let you know that we've been, that the grants team has been having weekly meetings and bi-weekly meetings looping in the executive management. And they're doing a fantastic job submitting this project for all the different SB1 grant applications and working as a team. So I hope you'll help me welcome Mike Loe as the new project manager for Caltrans on this project.
All right, Mike, are you on the call? So if you would like to say any words, we'd love to hear from you.
I am. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm looking forward to working on this project and filling Dave's rather large shoes. So I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And I think for the whole board, we know that this is always, to get things done, it's a partnership. So we appreciate all the work you're going to be doing in the months ahead on this. So thank you for joining us and being one of our partners here. Anyone else? Okay, let's go to a public comment. Any comments from the public? And ask staff if they see anyone that I'm not seeing here. Any hands raised?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. If anybody's on the phone, I think they have to push *9 to raise their hand and be recognized. Okay. Madeline, you had stated there's some recommended action. So do we have a motion from the board to approve staff's recommendations?
So moved.
Okay.
Lopez seconds.
Moved by Supervisor Phillips. I'll take second by Mary Adams. Okay. Let's do a roll call vote.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Aye.
District 2, Supervisor Phillips.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Parker.
Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Delray Oaks.
Aye.
City of Gonzales. City of Gonzales. City of Greenfield. Aye. City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina. City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Yes.
City of Sand City. City of Seaside.
Aye.
City of Soledad.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes 14-0.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go to item number 6 now to receive a presentation on the Monterey County Regional Conservation Investment Strategy. And Michael Zeller is going to take this one away.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I'm Michael Zeller. I'm a Principal Transportation Planner with the agency, and today I also have Diana Edwards from AECOM with us to help with this presentation. And hopefully you should be able to see Diana's screen coming up here. So what we'd like to do today is just to give an overview of the Regional Conservation Investment Strategy Program, and then talk a little bit about the work that we're doing to develop the Monterey County regional conservation investment strategy. So if we can go to the next slide, I wanted to start with just providing an overview of what the Regional Conservation Investment Strategy Program is. This was established by Assembly Bill 2087. That was a Levine in 2015. It's a program that allows public agencies to create a strategy that's focused on conserving habitat in a manner that benefits species and provides resiliency to threats such as climate change. The interest in this for the Transportation Agency is that the conservation actions that are identified in a regional conservation investment strategy can then be used as the basis for mitigation credits. So it can help us to streamline the permitting process, and it'll help to deliver our transportation projects more efficiently. The RCIS program is managed by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, so all RCISs must be approved by CDFW, and then the mitigation credits pertain just to permits that are issued by CDFW. But other state and federal regulatory agencies can also use the RCIS as long as it's consistent with their authorities. And as we'll talk about a little bit more later, we have worked to include other regulatory agencies in our development process to make sure that their feedback was incorporated, and this is a useful tool for them as well. And RCIS, once it's approved, it's good for a period of 10 years, but then there's an opportunity to renew it after that. And as I mentioned, this is a relatively new program. There's only one approved RCIS in the state currently, and that's the Santa Clara County RCIS. And there are 4 others that are in draft review with CDFW right now. And so with the Monterey County RCIS, we're hoping to be number 5. So as you can see on here, this is the first of many cute critter pictures we have in the presentation. This is Smith's blue butterfly, one of the focal species that's analyzed in our Monterey County Regional Conservation Investment Strategy. With the passage of Measure X, there was $5 million that was included in the program to conduct advanced habitat mitigation for the regional transportation projects in Measure X. The idea is to be able to set aside habitat or do other conservation work before transportation projects are ready for construction, and then receive mitigation credits for that conservation work. The benefits of this approach is that we can secure habitat when it's potentially less expensive rather than waiting, and habitat can be preserved in a manner that maintains connectivity for different species rather than doing it on a piecemeal basis, which is typically how it's done. But the first step in this process is identifying the vulnerable species and habitat and determining what conservation actions are needed to protect them. And that's exactly what the Monterey County RCIS does. If we can go to the next slide, please. Some examples of potential conservation actions that could be identified in the RCIS include wildlife crossings under state highways, such as doing culverts under State Route 68 between Salinas and Monterey. And the neat thing is that previously culverts that provided linkages and connectivity for wildlife weren't necessarily available for mitigation credits before, but through the RCIS program they are. Other things that we could look at include land acquisition of areas with high conservation values. This includes ag lands as well, and that's another area where we have difficulty finding mitigation opportunities for our projects is with ag lands. And then finally, we could also potentially look at restoring Santa Cruz long-toed salamander pond habitat for the State Route 156 project. And that's our smiling little friend there. So what we're looking to accomplish with this program is to conduct advanced planning for habitat conservation. So identifying what types of conservation needs that we have in the county and being able to implement those conservation actions in advance of our transportation projects. This also will help us to identify which locations are high value for habitat and agricultural mitigation for our projects. And then also just to improve the resource agency approval process. So working with them early to find out what they would like to see for conservation, and then incorporating that into a countywide program. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about how our effort is funded. So I mentioned that there is $5 million in Measure X for habitat preservation. We used just over $90,000 of that to match a Caltrans adaptation planning grant of just over $375,000. So we're very fortunate and appreciative of Caltrans to be able to fund this effort to allow us to conduct this program. And as you'll see on the next slide, Caltrans has been a great partner with us in the development of the Monterey County RCIS. So to assist with the development of the Monterey County RCIS, TAMC convened a steering committee composed of Caltrans, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and for Caltrans, this was both District 5 as well as headquarters, and for CDFW, it was also the regional and the headquarters departments participated in our meetings, as well as the Nature Conservancy. And this, the Nature Conservancy has been a big proponent of the RCIS program statewide, and they've assisted with the other RCISs that are in development around the state. So they were an integral part of our steering committee to help us to understand how the program is intended to be developed, and also helped us to avoid some of the pitfalls that other RCISs around the state faced. And then we also had a larger stakeholder group that was established. This also included local conservation organizations such as the Elkhorn Slough Foundation and Big Sur Land Trust, and other public agencies such as the Santa Cruz County Regional Transportation Commission, who is also in the process of developing the Santa Cruz County RCIS. So we've been staying in close coordination with them. AMBAG also participated, as well as the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Group. So with that overview of the program, I'd like to turn it over to Diana Edwards now to discuss the great work that her and her team are doing in developing the Monterey County RCIS.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, hi, I'm Diana Edwards. I am the project manager on the consultant side with AECOM. My background is in conservation and environmental planning. So if I go too into the science, that's exactly why. This is kind of really exciting stuff. And I'm happy to go over with you kind of high level what this document, what this strategy is looking at. So high level, the components that are involved in the RCIS is a regional setting, selecting our focal species. We also did a stressors and pressures analysis, including a climate change vulnerability assessment. And then of course, the meat of the document is these conservation actions, and these conservation actions can be turned into those mitigation credits that Mike was talking to us about. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a real world application coming up in just a few slides. So once again, high level, kind of give you an idea of what's in the document. Is our first chapter is about the regional setting, and this gives documents the natural setting, the planned and built environment in the county, and includes linkages and connectivity. This map that you see here is a map of the land cover in Monterey County, which is one of the required elements for us to take a look at from CDFW for this plan. Next, we chose our focal species. So the way that the RCIS program is developed around a set of focal species. So we chose 28 focal species, and these are species that when these conservation actions are implemented will provide lots of habitat benefits for both those species and the habitats that they represent. Oftentimes these are species that will require mitigation for, say, transportation or other projects. And we also have to we included a few unique natural communities. For this project, they are California sycamore woodland, Valley oak woodland, Monterey pine forest, which one of the few natural stands is in Monterey County, and working lands, and that includes agriculture and grazing. And like Mike said, those can often be hard to find mitigation credits for. We also included 2 ecosystem functions, which was required by CDFW, and here for the Monterey County RCIS, that is dune formation, which is very important in northern Monterey County, and habitat connectivity. We also included 20 non-focal species, and these are species that also can benefit from these conservation actions, but maybe share the same habitats, excuse me, or ecosystem functions as our focal species, can also receive mitigation credits through those mitigation credit agreements. So that's what you'll find in our focal species selection chapter of the book. It feels like it, excuse me, in the document. So next we did a climate change and pressures and stressors analysis. And so we looked at some of the impacts of climate change, drought, fire, flooding. We also looked at water and air quality, other threats to habitat, including water management, urban development, ranching and farming, and other sorts of habitat threats, including invasive species and habitat fragmentation. This map that you see here is a fire risk map from CAL FIRE, which is something that we took a look at, of course, because that both impacts habitats into the future, which will be potentially the threats from wildfire will potentially be exacerbated through climate change, and also kind of looked at some of the transportation impacts for some of these future climate change scenarios. So then we have our conservation actions, and our conservation actions include goals, priorities, objectives, and threats that address those stressors and pressures that I just discussed. We include species profiles for all of our focal species, including here the coast horned lizard, which is a species you can see here that's in the dunes, has the pressure of both sea level rise coming from the coastside and then development coming from inland. So this is one of the species that we considered. We included habitat models that show where the species are and where they could be into the future. We developed conservation targets, and once again, created those priorities, goals, actions, and objectives. And those actions and objectives can then get turned into these mitigation credit agreements. And this is an additional thing beyond the RCIS, but something that the RCIS creates an opportunity for. And so these credits are created by implementing these strategies. And as Mike talked about, these strategies can be anything from implementing wildlife, developing wildlife crossings to acquiring and protecting suitable habitat. So these credits must be approved by California Department of Fish and Wildlife and can be used as mitigation for some of the compensatory mitigation regulations for state impacts. That's going to be for CEQA, for the California Endangered Species Act, and through the Lake and Streambed Alteration Program. There are still talks for these mitigation credit agreements to be able to mitigate for additional impacts, potentially under the Regional Water Quality Control Board in Section 401, but that's TBD, but we're crossing our fingers that we'll be able to create credits using the RCIS for that. So to give you kind of an idea of what that might look like on a real life basis, one of the things that we did as part of this contract with TAMC is we developed a transportation impact analysis. So that was taking a look at 10 TAMC priority projects, identifying the potential impacts for those projects, and then identifying the potential mitigation needs. So as we just talked about, Highway 156, we can see here, this is, the red line is the proposed TAMC project footprint, which right now is probably much wider than it will actually end up being, but given the information that we had, we just kind of did an estimate of what the largest footprint might be. And then here on the right, you can see there is a list of possible impacts to modeled suitable habitat. So for example, there is potential that this project could impact seaside birdsbeak, which is an awesome, beautiful plant that occurs in this area. And so with the mitigation credit agreements, we'd be able to find, look at suitable habitat for seaside birdsbeak, and TAMC could acquire and protect that habitat, perhaps with a conservation partner, well ahead of the mitigation requirements for 156. So that part of the permitting process is already taken care of long before before it goes to construction, which is kind of the way that things are required. You have to have your mitigation in place before you can start construction. And so there's opportunity that for these, this list of priority projects, which are, on a 20 or 30 year planning horizon, we can secure those mitigation credits well ahead of time. So one of the other parts of the RCIS that we have been developing with Monterey County is we have created this cool web portal. And we don't expect everybody to want to go to a plan and flip through it and get all of the cool ecological information. Although I hope you do, it's well written, I might say. But we understand a lot of people, that's not how they work. And so we have been developing this web portal where you can enter in, it's interactive, it's searchable. We have dynamic maps where you can go in, you can click on a location, draw a polygon, and the species that are in that area will pop up. You can dig down into more information. You can start looking at that to plan your project, start thinking about your impacts and your mitigation need. So let's say, once again, you're looking at that 156 project. You can draw a polygon there and see that list of species come up. You have the seaside bird's beak. Okay, we can click a little bit further. Cool, the conservation actions that are approved for that include, top 5 things. And you can start to look at that and think about, okay, yeah, those are actions that we can implement and start talking to CDFW about how we can create a mitigation credit agreement around that, or talk to our conservation partners to be able to implement some of those conservation actions. So for timeline and next steps, I think we'll have Mike talk about that.
Yes, thank you. So for the next steps that we have on this project, hopefully everybody on the board has received notice that we are conducting an online public meeting via Zoom in July, on July 15th. I believe at 1:30 p.m. Is when we scheduled it. This meeting, if you're not able to be there in person on that date, we will be recording it and posting it to our website so you can watch it afterwards. This meeting will also be coordinated around the same time that we anticipate having what we're calling the technical draft of the Monterey County RCIS available for review. So we'll also have send out additional notice when that is ready and post it to our website with the instructions on how to submit comments. And then we anticipate bringing this back to the TAMC board in August for approval for us to submit the draft, administrative draft to CDFW. Once it goes to CDFW, then it goes through another public review and comment period. So there will be multiple chances to review and comment on the RCIS over the coming months. And then we hope to receive our final approval on this from CDFW in early next year. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right, any questions from the board? And thank you for the presentation, Dana and Michael. Any board members on this? Don't see any.
Actually, I have one. This is Allison Kerr.
Okay, Allison, and then we'll go to Mike Labar.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. Is the full report available somewhere for review?
We are still in process of developing the full report. So it's not quite yet posted, but we do have the components that have been developed thus far are on our project website. And I can have Mike distribute that web address.
Thank you.
To the board. Yeah,
that'd be great. How may a jurisdiction propose possible land for consideration?
For conservation actions?
Yes.
That's a great question. I mean, I think that, so one thing that we didn't really discuss is that anybody can do these conservation actions and anybody can enter into a mitigation credit agreement. It doesn't just have to be TAMC, but TAMC is the project, support and proponent for this with support of Caltrans. So for something like that, you could discuss with CDFW or other conservation partners about getting your land into a mitigation credit agreement. So that is something that pretty much anybody can do. So that's one of the kind of different things about this process.
Wonderful, thank you for that. And will you, could you please remind all of us about the July 15th meeting and include a Zoom link and everything?
Yeah, we will plan on, that's also, all of the information is up on the website. We will also send out a reminder a couple days before that has all of the information.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your work and the presentation, and I look forward to hearing more.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Michael Barr?
Just wanted to comment, appreciate the presentation, but really, I'm just so glad to see this process moving forward. The, animal protection, the conservation elements. It's just so much. I believe long-term will have such a great benefit for our region as we do our expansion projects. By doing this proactively and early, it's going to really help our residents in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I don't see any hand raised. Let me go to the public. Any members of the public would like to comment on this? Okay, see none. Michael, this was only for a report, right? No action needed?
Correct. This was just a receive information, and in August, we'll bring this back for board action.
All right, look forward to that. Okay, let's go. Okay, so that was item number 6. Now let's move on to item number 7 on the agenda. Approve evaluation form, procedure, timeline, and completing annual evaluation for executive director, and receive a report on transition of our council for the agency.
Okay, good morning, Chair, members of the board. Rita Goyle, Director of Finance and Administration. Item number 7 is requires board action to approve the evaluation form for the executive director's annual evaluation. So typically, each year we do an annual evaluation for the executive director as well as for the agency council. This year, with some changes going on that we'll talk about just a little bit later, that I'm going to turn the presentation over to Kay Ryman to talk about, the executive committee recommended that we do not do a council evaluation, but do proceed forward with the evaluation of the executive director. So the first action is to approve the evaluation form and procedure for timeline for completing the annual evaluation for executive director. And the timeline is listed in your in the agency staff report. And the first action, should you so approve this today, would be that staff will be mailing out the form as well as the goals and accomplishments of the executive director to you by the end of this week. You would have the month of July to complete the evaluations, return them to Chair Alejo. Then Chair Alejo will tally them up and present them to the executive committee in September. And then once the executive committee has made some recommendations, they'll come back to the board in September, October. So that's the timeline for doing the executive director evaluation. Now, the reason that we are not asking or doing the council evaluation is kind of outlined a little bit in my staff report, but for details of it, I'm going to turn this over to Kay Ryman to talk a little bit about her plans and what the agency can look forward to going on the legal advice that Kay has provides to the agency. So Kay, the floor is yours. Kay, are you there?
There you go.
There. Okay, now I'm unmuted.
There you go. Okay, thank you.
Which is kind of hard for lawyers, muting us is difficult. So as Rita's staff report indicates and the attached memo that I prepared shows, I'm really leaving this time, no. No more head fakes. It's been wonderful to work with TAMC, but as a retired annuitant, PERS is interested in people actually retiring and not being part-time workers. And it's time to make sure that we have good succession going forward. And so I will be leaving by the end of the year. I am a big planner ahead type person, so I've been working with the county council's office, who have been very supportive And they have selected Catherine Hansen, who you can see on Zoom, to be my replacement, and I'm very thrilled and excited about that. Catherine hasn't been with the County Council's office very long, but I started working with her when she first arrived, and I can't think of a better person to take over my big fat feet to do this. It was recommended at the executive committee that I prepare a little memo to show what legal counsel generally does, because in past evaluations, some people have not really participated because, if I say so myself, I've been fairly successful in working behind the scenes. So that's the best thing a lawyer can do, that we don't, you know, I was taught very early on, the best thing you can say in court is, "Thank you, Your Honor," and that's it. There is a lot of working with staff and behind the scenes to make this move smoothly. TAMC staff is terrific. But here's a sort of an outline of the types of issues that legal counsel does get into. And as I hope to make clear, Catherine is not alone. When she comes in this way, she will have support from the County Counsel's office, just as I have had. She may have some areas of expertise that excel mine, which is difficult for me to say, but I will. And so I think it will be a good and smooth transition. And I'm not gone yet, so you'll still see me. But we thought it was better to let people know now. Sudden change is, you know, we've had enough sudden changes. So we wanted to smooth things out. Happy to answer any questions if you have about the memo, remembering that this is a public session, and so I will not be giving legal advice. But otherwise, you know, again, I'm not going to say my goodbyes yet, but it's been a dream assignment, wonderful working with everybody. I will be sad to leave, but not so sad that I get to spend even more time with my husband. So that's all good.
Thank you, Ms. Ryman. And I think the executive committee, we obviously are thankful to our very competent and diligent counsel. But we had made the recommendation not to put her through a review since she was leaving us at the end of the year, but to make this an opportunity to, I guess, talk about her duties more, because I think for future evaluations, it's important to know what the county does. That usually the executive committees have more interaction with the council because we have more meetings throughout the month. But we thought today was a good opportunity to also introduce the successor. We have an awesome Catherine 1.0, and then we had a Catherine 2.0 coming in, Catherine Hansen. And, but it's a good opportunity for her to introduce herself and talk a little bit about her background. And I really appreciate Ms. Ryman transitioning, knowing that there's 6 months overlap still from here to the end of the year, to be able to just partner and prepare and have a smooth transition come 2021. So Ms. Hansen, you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you very much, Supervisor. And Kay, thank you very much for the gracious introduction. As I've said a few times during these meetings, Kay leaves very big shoes to fill, and has been an outstanding resource for, I know, all of you, and also for me as being relatively new to this position. I have been with the County Counsel's office now for almost 10 months. I come from a public sector and private sector background. I have I was a partner in a law firm in San Francisco for quite a bit of my career. I also worked for the San Francisco Board of Supervisors earlier on in my career as a legislative aide, and worked for the San Francisco DA's office. Most recently, I should say, I was doing some public policy work in Washington, D.C. So I come to you with, like I said, quite a bit of experience in both the public and the private sector, and have done a lot of transportation work, which is more specific to TAMC, that I think will be helpful in advising you and helpful in kind of in our transition because I come to this role with some background in it. Kay, just to reassure everybody, Kay, as she mentioned, has been planning this and is great in the efforts to plan for this and to help me transition. So we have been meeting separately and training every week to ensure that when Kay does hopefully finally get to retire, that she has really trained me to the greatest extent possible so that I can seamlessly move into this role to be working with all of you. I really look forward to this. This is, I think I've told some of you on a call, on a Zoom meeting previously, these issues are things I personally am passionate about and have been involved in before. And so not only do I bring my experience to you, but I also bring a commitment to these issues and to helping our community. So I think that's everything. Again, I know I have big shoes to fill, and it will be a great experience for all of us to start working together. And I look forward to all the work that I'll be doing for you.
And if I can just jump in 1 second, just to reassure people, we are not billing TAMC for this transition period.
That's
okay?
right.
So this is something that the county is doing, so Catherine may be taking over a few contracts as we get going, for which of course she will bill, but we are being very careful not to double bill and to make sure that TAMC only gets the absolute best service.
That's right. Something I think I've said to some of you in another meeting, that from the private sector, it was beaten into my head that you cannot double bill on a file. So we are very diligent about that. And I assure you that all the transition period and training that I am doing is not going to TAMC in any way. And we just want to make sure Kay and I are using our own time to do that, to ensure that when I do begin working entirely and Kay is not working for TAMC, that I have the training I've needed to get to that point.
Thank you both, and I think the board really appreciates hearing the passion of both of you for doing this work for TAMC and the many projects we got ahead. So that's refreshing to just hear that from our team. Bobby, you got anything to add on this?
Well, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Kay on two accounts. Number one, in assuring a smooth and gradual transition. So I really appreciate that, and we'll have plenty of time to recognize you at our December meeting for all your services overall. But I also just wanted to take this time to thank you for all of your hard work on the Fort Ord Regional Trail and Greenway contract. There have been a couple of instances where TAMC has set up contracts with many member agencies. This particular instance was with not just cities of Seaside, Marina, Delray Oaks, and Monterey, but also the Regional Parks District and the UCSC, CSUMB. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. And it was a lot of work dealing with all the different attorneys, dealing with the different councils. And I just want to thank her for all of her effort over the last several months working on that, because it was not straightforward. And so thank you, Kay, for making that happen. I'm proud to announce that we've got approval from everybody except for UC. So we're working on that. You know, she really helped make it.
Great. Okay, next I got Allison Kerr.
Thank you. I also want to echo the gratitude for the work that you've done, Catherine. I've only been on the board for 1.5 years, but you have always had a steady suggestions and influence on the board as we need. So thank you for that. And welcome, Catherine. I want to say thanks for making it easy for both of us that you're both Catherines.
Right, that worked out really well.
Yeah. And I look forward to working with you. So welcome to the TAMC family.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else? I don't see anyone raise their hand. How about any members of the public on this item? Okay, we just need, well, thank you both, Catherine and Catherine, for joining us on this. But we do need a motion to approve the evaluation of the executive director. So have approval for staff's recommendation.
So moved.
Lopez moves.
Second, Davis.
Who's the first?
Lopez.
Oh, Supervisor Lopez, second by
Davis.
Okay, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Aye.
District 2, Supervisor Phillips.
Aye.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Supervisor Parker.
Aye.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea. City of Carmel. Okay, thank you. City of Delray Oaks.
Aye.
City of Gonzales. City of Greenfield. Aye. City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina. City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Yes.
City of Sand City. City of Seaside. City of Seaside. City of Soledad.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes 13-0.
All right, thank you, everybody, and I want to encourage everybody to fill out their evaluation forms for our executive director and then turn those in by the deadline. Thank you. Let's go to item number 8. This is to receive reports from our transportation providers, and we'll start with Caltrans director's report and project update.
All right. Good morning again. Good morning again, everyone. I have just a few things I want to mention today. And the first is that Caltrans and the CHP have announced a statewide effort to resume litter pickup. We've been on a really limited schedule since the hit of COVID in March. And I just also want to appeal to folks that we need your help, because litter, as you know, it increases the risk of fire, it pollutes our waterways, it threatens wildlife, and it costs taxpayers millions of dollars to pick up and remove litter. We want to remind people to please dispose of your own trash responsibly and make sure that you secure any cargo loads before getting on the road. So again, the best response is the prevention in this case, but we are resuming our efforts on that. I'd also like to let you know that the rest areas along the Central Coast have now all reopened. From in the south, the Gaviota roadside rest, that's in Santa Barbara County, as well as the rest area on Shandon, on Highway 46 out in the eastern part of San Luis Obispo County, and then the 2 Camp Roberts safety roadside rest areas there in southern Monterey County along 101. All of those have reopened after some construction, and there is solar ZEV charging available at Camp Roberts and at Shandon. And you might recall hearing earlier in other reports that the electric vehicle charging there is an outgrowth of a partnership with the Monterey Bay Air District and the San Luis Obispo County Air Pollution Control District out at Shandon. And we're very proud of that effort and that opportunity now to provide. So once you're getting back on the road, don't fear, don't have range anxiety. If you want to come down and visit me in San Luis Obispo, you can charge on the way up and back. So we look forward to seeing folks charging around in their EVs. And then finally, I want to mention that Secretary of Transportation David Kim issued a statement earlier this month about racial equity and social justice. And he's acknowledging that transportation systems at their core are about improving people's quality of life, and that we recognize that historically transportation improvements have disproportionately benefited certain segments of the population and created and caused impacts to other segments of the population. Notably, barriers and transportation has at times become a barrier or divided communities and has amplified racial inequities, especially in Black and brown neighborhoods. So the California State Transportation Agency is strongly condemning this form of systemic racism and discrimination in all forms, including those that are historically entrenched in transportation. And he sees the role now for transportation to work harder to pick up our need to enhance the lives of all Californians by connecting individuals to jobs, to healthcare, to education, and other opportunities. And the Transportation Agency is firmly embracing racial equity, inclusion, and diversity, and wants to move forward in being part of the solution. To this by promoting policies and programs that really reflect the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and working with everyone along this path to make sure that the quality of life is being improved for everyone. That's what I have for you today.
Wow, thank you. Those are some powerful words and acknowledgement from Caltrans. Wow, thank you for sharing that. And it's good to hear that, and that it's put in perspective that way with a lot of the discussions happening nationally. Thank you. Our next report is from Monterey Peninsula Airport, Mr. Sabo.
Thank you, Chair Alejo. We really appreciate the opportunity to speak. I want to report that our passenger traffic is continuing to increase here. That hasn't been the case with all the airports around the country, and we've managed to retain all of our air carriers that have served Monterey in the past, and that too has not been the case with many cities around the country. So we're very fortunate, and that's partly due to the hard work of our staff. We have retained a lot of service from Alaska, American, United, and now our new carrier, the JSX, which is flying on a small basis to Ontario and Southern California. And what we have noticed is a tremendous increase in traffic to and from Dallas, Fort Worth, which is a great connecting hub to elsewhere in the country, particularly the Midwest. So we have also been informed by Alaska Airlines that they have confirmed their start of service to Seattle from Monterey in February. And that's something we worked for a number of years, and we were concerned that with the virus, we might, and the cutback in service, we might lose that, but they have it in their schedule for next February, and we're very encouraged by all that. And we have now approved new electric car charging stations at the airport. We're going to have 4 additional ones in addition to the 2 we already have. And so that kind of consistent with what our Caltrans report is. So we're very encouraged by that, and we think it's a certain wave of the future. We approved our 2021 budget, and we had a substantial budget increase for cleaning and sanitizing, and that is no small effort for our staff, and lots of supplies are going towards that, and we're working with our carriers to assure that it's a safe experience for our passengers arriving in Monterey as well as departing from Monterey. And as always, we're working to assure that we have a continued safe and easy experience to travel out of Monterey. And we encourage everybody in Monterey County and the region to use the service as the flights expand. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report, and good to hear the how the airport's really taking this seriously with the disinfecting. You know, just in 2 days ago, we had our highest one-day total in Monterey County of 66 positive cases, but California for the last 2 days has had 2 record days. Yesterday topped the day before in terms of positive cases. So certainly something that we're all watching as policymakers. Next, let's go to MST, Mr. Sidor.
That would be Lisa Reinheimer. Good morning, Mr. Chair. I've been called worse. So during the pandemic, MST has really stepped up to the plate to help out in our community response, not just on the public transportation side of things, but on what we can do a little bit outside of what we normally do. And unfortunately, all things must come to an end. So I am happy and sad to report that by the end of this month, we will end 2 programs that have been really impactful to our community. The first one is we partnered with Meals on Wheels of Salinas Valley and have delivered over 8,000 meals to folks who need it, who were unable to get to this store and needed that extra support. We're also ending the mobile Wi-Fi project that we deployed in Salinas, Soledad, Greenfield, and King City. We had over 6,000 connections made for those kids and others who needed that connection to get to classrooms during the virtual classroom setting that many of the kids, all of the kids, went through over the remaining of the school year. And then also some good news, we are increasing some of our services to the high demand lines in our Salinas to Monterey, in Salinas, in Monterey lines, as well as South County in July 11th. We're increasing our frequency and balancing that with social distancing. So hopefully the added service will help keep our folks getting to their essential work jobs and essential trips, as well as others now that they can do so. So that's what I had to report, Mr. Chair, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if your board has them.
Thank you very much for that report. Good to hear. And some of these good efforts, though, MS2 is doing, you know, we recognize it couldn't go on forever, but it's really good that MST stepped up during difficult times. Going to Monterey Bay Air Resources District, Mr. Stone.
Excuse me, I have a question of Lisa.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, this is Mayor Kerr. Can you tell me why those programs are ending? Is it because of funding? Is it because of the life of the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. With the meals, the funding has ended for the Meals on Wheels program. So they're no longer going to be able to provide the meals. So we will no longer deliver a non-existent meal. So that's that. With the internet connections, we were working with the Monterey County Office of Education on that, and they're no longer requesting the internet connection, probably due to the school year having ended and you know, the kids are out on summer break now.
Thank you very much. I didn't realize Meals on Wheels was not delivering meals anymore.
Well, it was the special delivery during COVID. They had some extra funding from some source, and so they partnered with us on that. I imagine they're still going to be doing some of the regular deliveries, but this was an added extra funding that Meals on Wheels of Salinas Valley received, and we were the delivery mechanism.
Lisa, thank you for the clarity.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. And now we got Mr. Stedman, who is apparently in Bixby Bridge. You got to unmute yourself, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just a couple quick items to keep it brief. Over the past 4 years or so, we've incentivized the purchase or lease of well over 1,000 electric vehicles through our three-county jurisdiction. That program is continuing. That's the Monterey Bay Electric Vehicle Incentive Program, or EVIP as we like to call it. That will start up the new format next August. And this is going to actually change in the sense that we're increasing the incentive amounts. We saw a dip in the incentives requested this past year, so we've decided to retune and increase the incentive amounts. Also, with the state of the economy, we think that folks will probably not be as interested as they were in the past without a more hefty incentive. So on average, we're increasing our incentive about $1,000. So for instance, a battery electric vehicle is eligible for $2,000 in incentive funding. We're also concentrating on used vehicles. So there's a huge fleet of lease returns, specifically the Nissan Leaf. And those are really great deals, especially for low-income people. And if you're low-income qualified, you'll be able to receive double the incentive amount. So we're really trying to push vehicles out there and get them on the road. So that new program will start up, as I said, in August, and we look forward to hopefully spending down at least the $400,000 to $500,000 we've allocated for this program. The other item I just wanted to mention, and has already been discussed a little bit, we're really interested in shovel-ready electric vehicle charging station projects. We have money and funding available, so if you have something that's ready to go and is not going to get stuck in the quagmire of bureaucracy with respect to permitting and all of that, we've got money, and I would urge you to contact us and we can get your project going. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that report. Any questions on this? See none. Let's go to item number.
Chair, Debbie has her hand raised.
Okay, Debbie.
Oh, Richard, I just wanted to say we'll give you a call. The TAMC charging stations have been very popular.
Excellent.
Nice. Okay, number 9, we'll skip over to the reports on meetings attended by board members at TAMC expense as required by state law. I don't think we have anybody to report on that, as we haven't gone anywhere. Let's go to the executive director's report, the Hale report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So wanted to let you know that we are very focused on applying for grants right now, and we've had a report back on another grant, but unfortunately we did not get it, and that is the Highway 1 Carmel area corridor study. The notion was our past efforts have focused on widening that corridor, but financially and probably environmentally that's not feasible. So what with the success of the roundabout that we've had there on Holman Highway, we wanted to look at a set of roundabouts in the corridor and see how that would fare. We did not get funding for that, probably because of the emphasis on disadvantaged communities, but we'll have a debriefing on that and see where we could improve in the future or if there are other options. The second thing that I wanted to do was to just give you an update on TAMC offices and COVID-19. I expect that we will continue our board meetings remote at least through December. We have a large board. When we were in the Ag Conference Center, it was very crowded. And so until we have a better option or until there's a vaccine, it makes sense for us to continue on Zoom meetings. We're also going slow on our office reopening, especially with the fact that the virus counts continue to rise in Monterey County, and the policy that you approved under consent set some good guidelines of things that we want to be sure to have in place before we enter the next phase. So, so slow going on reopening the office. And then finally, as some others have noted, we're entering into summer break, and that means that there will be no TAMC July Executive Committee, Rail Policy Committee, or TAMC board meetings. There will be a Citizens Oversight Committee meeting, but you can clear your calendar for the July Exec and TAMC and RPC meetings, and we will see you all back in August on Zoom.
Okay, is that all? for the report?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Just on last item, announcements or comments from TAMC members on matters they wish to put on future agendas. Anyone? Okay, if not, I think that is the end of our agenda.
Chair Mary Adams has her hand raised.
Ms. Supervisor Adams.
Yeah, thank you. It's a question really for Debbie. Debbie, regarding the Highway 1 study not being received, you said you were going to have a debrief on that. Is that something that will happen with just the staff, or will it be with the board or executive committee? Clearly, I'm interested in that.
You know, I would be happy to have somebody from your staff sit in on the debrief if you'd like to. It'll be a call with Caltrans. They offer the opportunity to have a debrief. So we'll reach out to you on that and make sure you're included.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that will conclude our meeting. The governor is having a press conference at 11, also shown online. Kind of unusual because he usually has them at 12, so we'll see what he has to announce today. Anyways, thank you, everybody. We'll see you at our next meeting, I believe, in August.
Happy summer.
Y'all in August.